At 30 years old, one would think I couldn't just pick up and take an impromptu trip to somewhere ridiculous. One would think that I'd have a mortgage and two kids. Instead, I have an apartment with door frames that I'm too tall for and a 20-year-old mattress on the floor. So, pretty much exactly where my high school teachers expected me to be at 30. I guess I technically have a few months to prove them wrong still, but yeah, not likely. While it's usually my work forcing me to take PTO, this time it was different. 2026 was shaping up not to be the greatest year. It started with one of my favorite living filmmakers dying. Then a local film competition that I had already made a project for randomly dissolved and just wasn't a thing anymore. Then I got diagnosed with gout, which I didn't even know a 29-year-old could get. None of this even begins to touch everything going on a broader scale that, well, if you're watching this, you've probably lived through as well, so I don't need to do a deep dive into it. But it was clear that the world was telling me I needed a trip. I had been slowly moving back into religion, and as Easter approached, the only obvious choice was Armenia, the first Christian nation. So that's where I decided to go. Then we bombed Iran. And if you don't know where Armenia is, it's here. Iran is there and Russia is there. And while I have as much confidence as anyone that the alcoholic former host of Fox and Friends Weekend is totally capable of beating a global power that every presidential administration for the past 40 years has failed to beat, it just seemed like not the greatest idea to go there anymore. So I threw it out to you all as to where I should go and got some great recommendations. Fiji, Azores, Greece, Croatia, Israel. Well, I don't know about that one. I'm not anti-Semitic or anything, I don't think. But this dude is making it awfully hard. So after strong consideration of everyone's great ideas, I ultimately landed on El Salvador. My flight was very early, and I started the morning by taking some pills, because I'm an old man and have to take like 6 a day. After my hearty breakfast of pills and coffee, I sat and pondered what I was doing. I had made an impromptu change in my plans, and really knew nothing about where I was going other than they have a mega prison that we send a lot of people back to. I had heard nothing about the attractions in El Salvador, but figured that the best plan of action was to figure it out as I went. So I headed to the airport. It was a cold and wet morning, and the drive was rather ominous. I was getting to the airport quite early because I had heard all of the horror stories about TSA lines and wanted to make sure I had plenty of time. But everything actually went really smooth, and I was quickly through security and walking to my gate. There weren't a ton of people around, which was nice. One coffee shop was open, and while I would have preferred alcohol to pass the time, the coffee hit the spot. As I waited, I started to get hungry, and Qdoba was calling my name. It was closed, though. So I boarded the plane with an empty stomach. My first flight was to Houston.
Once we get everyone, we'll give you an updated arrival time gate information on weather in Houston. We do have to de-ice the airplane. It did pick up a little bit of ice on the inbound arrival last night and sitting here overnight. Fairly standard operation. And then we do have to do a application of anti-icing.
The plane needed to be stalled for a little bit because the wings needed some anti-icing. Living and working right near Minneapolis, I had become accustomed to anti-icing, though I think the pilot was referring to something different. I got put in an aisle seat, which sucked because I like to film the takeoffs, and also looking out the window provides some great entertainment during the flight. For some reason, this flight had no screens for me to even watch a movie or show. I was bored out of my mind and had to find other ways to entertain myself. Some lady had put her Fanta in the seat pocket without a lid on. I found it very entertaining watching to see if it would spill. It never did, and soon enough I was in Houston. I didn't have to go through TSA again, so the Houston airport was very easy to manage. This was good because I didn't have a very long layover and quickly found myself on the flight to El Salvador. I did get a window seat this time, so I got to see us leave Houston. This flight did not have any TV or movies either, and so I entertained myself by looking out the window and watched as Houston turned into El Salvador. I was approaching my destination and already could see some things that were very different than my home in Minnesota. I saw a volcano in the distance, some houses and trees and stuff. I was overjoyed to be arriving in a new place that I knew nothing about. And just like that, I was in El Salvador.